Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Bookstack Coffee Chat. Daleen Bickle here, and it is a privilege and a pleasure to be here with you, albeit late. Again, technology and internet connections were a challenge, but better late than never, right? So this week is an exciting week, and actually today, this evening, is exciting as well, because if you are a Christian book lover like I am, you will be happy to hear that tonight is the Christie Awards Winners Gala. It's a webcast, so they aren't going to be able to have it live, but just like last year, it's a webcast. It's free for everyone to watch. I did it last year, and it was just a wonderful event. So I look forward to watching that again tonight. That's going to be held at 7 p.m. Let me look here, Central Time. Yes, so that'll be 8 o'clock our time. So maybe a little later than a lot of things that we watch, but it's worth staying up late for. And I'm so excited about it because the book I'm going to talk about today, which was also the October Bookstack Coffee Chat Book Club selection, is When Twilight Breaks by Sarah Sundin. So that, let's see if I can get it without the glare, kind of, yeah. This is such a great, great book, and I'm not the only one who thinks that, because she is one of the 3 finalists in the historical fiction genre for the Christie Awards. So I'm rooting for you, Sarah. Can't wait to see how that transpires this evening. But right now, I thought, since the book club had read it this month, we just had our meeting to discuss it on Tuesday evening. It's a monthly book club, and if you are interested in historical fiction, particularly World War II era historical fiction, I would love to have you join us in the book club. Mention your interest in the comments. I forgot to put on the banner here the link to that, but I can afterwards put the link to how to join the book club. Again, it's free. Just read the book at your leisure, and at the end of the month, we meet on Zoom and discuss the book. And next month, for November, we are going to be reading Chasing the Shadows, which is the new book by Lynn Austin. So I'm excited about that, because she is another fabulous Christian author. So When Twilight Breaks, back to this book. I actually read it twice. I enjoyed it so much. I loved her dialogue. I loved how she was able to incorporate so much of history into her novel without it reading like a history textbook, right? And I thought it was interesting too, because it's World War II era, but the book actually takes place right before war started in Europe. So this all happens in the year 1938 in Germany. And the 2 main characters are Evelyn. She is an American correspondent, a journalist for an American news agency. And Peter, who is an American grad student from Harvard, who is in Germany teaching at one of the universities in Munich as he completes his doctorate and his working on his dissertation. The 2 of them meet. She's supposed to interview him as part of her work, and so that's how they meet. And the rest of the story is all about the conflict, not only going on in Germany, but how it affects them as Americans living in Germany, how they see things, their perspectives, and how they differ. I thought that was very well done by the author. And, there's the tension on so many different levels. But the one I really wanted to pull out today was what I shared in the little preview about their differing views of success and the potential repercussions and ramifications of how you achieve that success. I think all of us can relate to one point or a time having a goal, wanting to, reach that pinnacle of success, whether it was to, win an award, whether it was to win the championship game on a sports team, whether, reach some specific job position. We've all aspired to something in the past, and we in our minds think, well, if we just do that, if we reach that, we'll have succeeded, right? We will have arrived. We will meet that inner need. And so for Evelyn, as a reporter and a journalist, she's always, chasing after the next big story, right? And if she just gets that next, prime assignment, her career will just take off. And she, looks forward to being a successful journalist who can travel the world and, go places that many women haven't been able to go before. And to her, success also means independence, that after a few failed relationships that are shared in the book, she is very wary of men, and rightly so, based on her experiences. But she almost takes it to the extreme, right? That she is so independent and she doesn't need anyone or anything other than her placement being at the right time in the right place and her skills as a journalist, right? Then there's Peter, and his view of success is obviously to finish his dissertation, to become a professor, and to his dissertation is all about helping people from other countries speak with a better diction, right? To sound more like a native instead of as a second language. And so he's developed this different way of being able to help people. And that's going to put him on his map, because he's competing with his father's legacy, his brothers who are, for all intents and purposes, very successful in a broad sense. They help a lot of different people. And so he is striving for a success of his own, right? And so for him, success comes through strength and perseverance and rules and order. And so it's interesting how that plays out in what is going on in Germany at the time, right? Rules and order and laws and all of those things may seem good to the general populace, yet they negatively and adversely affect other people in the population, right? And so it's this tension throughout the book. And as events culminate and as more laws go down, there comes a time when they have to decide, each of them individually, where do we draw the line? How much is too much? Where have you stepped over the line of morality? Where have you stepped over the line of just taking things too far? And I won't give anything away. Of course, in the book club, we talked about it all, because I really want you to read this book. It's very, very good. But, it just got me to thinking about everything today as well, right? There were a couple of quotes. Let me see if I can find it really quickly. That I really liked in this book. One little quote here was about how they were at a musical performance and how the orchestra is warming up, and there's, all the different instruments are warming up and playing their chords and their the term is escaping me right now, but they're all dissonant, right? They're not playing together and in tune. And so Evelyn is saying, I love the sound of all these different musical notes being played all at once. And you do, Peter asked, smiling at her, it's a mess. And I love this. Yes, but the mess means beauty is coming. Yeah, and that can apply in so many areas of our lives, not just in music, but, when our lives just feel like they are an absolute mess. Nothing is going right. Everything is falling apart. It may seem like the world is coming to an end right then and there, but as with everything, God is in control, and God knows the final plan, and it's going to be beautiful because God creates beauty, right? Beauty from the ashes. And so I love that quote. And then the one I was trying to find, getting back to the laws, yes. this quote says, "Every day the Germans lost a little more freedom, but they had jobs, and that was all that seemed to matter to them. But freedom mattered to Evelyn." And the other quote that ties in with that, she says here that France and the United States had huge problems. At that point in 1938, a lot of Americans were still reeling from the Great Depression, right? They were still breadlines, and there was still a lot of poverty in the country. And so the United States had huge problems, but in each nation, the government served to safeguard liberties, not strip them. So between those last two quotes, jobs without freedom and, safeguarding liberties, I believe are important today as well, right? There are some parallels there, something to think about. And where do you draw the line? I just found the whole book so good. I love the Christian values that she brings in, and she shares different Christian perspectives and dialogue without sounding preachy. It just naturally flows. I thought she did a very good job. I think that you will really enjoy reading this book. Another thing I just wanted to mention, that this is a fictional book, but she mentions in her about this, the backstory about how elements of the book came from her grandparents' lives. And so while the characters are purely fictional and don't reflect her grandparents, there were some of the things that they did that reflected what her grandparents went through. And I just love that, how she was able to weave that together. And it got me to thinking, what elements of our lives are we documenting and preserving for our grandchildren to find, right? A lot of us have so many interesting stories and events that have happened in our lives, but we don't necessarily think that they're worthwhile noting or think anything of them. But to future generations, they will mean a lot. And if you haven't started to share any of that, I really encourage you to consider doing that. And if you'd like help with that, I have my book, The 1-Year Collection of Weekly Writing Prompts. And this is available on my website, dalianbickle.com. You can get a copy of that. And of course, holiday season is coming up. So what better gift to give a parent or grandparent than the gift of their stories, right? Helping them write them down. Those are just all different things that came out of this book. But the book that I always like to return to is the Bible, right? And so what does the Bible say about success? Let's end on that note, right? If we go to Ecclesiastes 10, verse 10, it says, "If the axe is dull and one does not sharpen the edge, then he must use more strength. But wisdom brings success," right? So rather than, adding more force to make things work the way you want them to, seek wisdom. Wisdom, God's wisdom, brings success. And also, what is wisdom, right? Let's go to Proverbs 9, verse 10, which says, "The fear of the Lord, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is understanding." So as we go on today and throughout our week, let us just lean in on God and His wisdom, seek Him for the directions and for truth and how we can go about leading our lives and, desire the success He has for us. And with that concludes this week's Bookstack Coffee Chat. I'm so glad you stopped by. Thank you for watching the replay. And if you have any questions or comments, please do leave them below. I would love to hear from you. Take care and have a blessed day.